On today's episode, I have Josh calling in from Illinois. How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing pretty good, Brother Mark. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for allowing me to speak with you. What can I help you with?
Well, I have been in this long-distance relationship with a Christian woman from Texas, and we were talking for about 2 weeks, actually, and we both kind of felt like that this was kind of an open door, and so we entered a relationship. Now, fast forward to about now, we've been in this relationship for almost 3 months at this point, and I have been noticing things about just how I feel, or at least in some way don't feel, in this relationship. And just quickly, it's that I noticed maybe about 2 weeks into the relationship, or maybe even a little after that my feelings that were kind of there in the beginning, the excitement and all this stuff, just started waning and kind of just dropped off. Yeah, and she really loves me. I know that. She has expressed that, but I'm uncertain about my feelings. I even went down, she lives in Texas, I even went down to see her, and all throughout that whole time, I didn't really feel like we were getting along, but I just didn't really pick up on if there was supposed to be something I was supposed to pick up on for a connection. And I really did go down there to just try to figure out stuff. Yeah. And I was really struggling through that whole time. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah. No, that was a good summary. So have you only seen her one time in person?
Yeah, because like I said, we started dating about 2 or 3 months ago. This was the only time I could see her because I had time off of work. Yeah. She had time off of work, and I was able to save enough money to fly down to Texas and stay in a hotel and spend time with her. So yeah, this is the only time that I've seen her. Okay.
So, couple thoughts come to mind. I think long distance relationships in general, when someone asks me about long distance, I don't think that there's a strong biblical principle that I have that I can share with people. More so, this is kind of Mark's personal opinion on the matter. So I don't think long distance relationships are bad. I definitely don't. I just think that they tend to work best if the relationship starts with some sort of pre-existing connection that wasn't started long distance. Does that make sense? So me and my wife actually did date long distance for a while, for about a year, but we met on a missions trip, and we served on this mission trip for like 5 months together. I was there for 7 months and she was there for 5 months. And so during that time, we spent a lot of time together. Excuse me. We spent a lot of time together in person and built this friendship face to face. So then when the mission trip was over, I moved back to Cleveland. She moved back to Charlotte, North Carolina. And so then we started dating when we came back to the States, and we dated long distance for about a year. But that's kind of a different scenario. I'm not saying it's not possible for you or someone in your situation, but that's a lot different than meeting someone long distance and then trying to do a long distance relationship right from the start. Yeah. So do you think that it's possible that maybe your feelings are waning simply because you're not getting a lot of opportunities to fuel those feelings like you normally would in a traditional relationship that's not long distance? I mean, do you think that could be a possibility?
I really do think so. For me, that's the common way I see it, because what you're saying is that you and your wife actually formed a relationship and actually had a pre-existing connection.
Right.
Whereas me and my girlfriend,
it's hard to build it, you know, now that you are long distance. It's hard to build a foundation. It's easier to sustain the long distance when you already have something together.
Yeah. So, but I want to feel feelings. I want to, in a sense, feel connected, but I don't. And I think some of that is the long distance. I was hoping that I would feel a certain way, but in the last few months, there's not really. Sometimes it's just a long, like a really long period of just not feeling anything or not feeling connected, kind of feeling like we're just friends in some ways. If this does finally, if the relationship finally ends, then I got to be like, okay, you need to like figure out your stuff before you even try another relationship, because you don't want to do this again.
Yeah.
Because there's no guarantee that this won't happen again.
Right.
And I try to be a man of integrity in that regard, but I feel like I've allowed emotion and even sin in some way to cloud my judgment.
Yeah. So I want to go back to what you said. You said you want to feel some sort of security that this is the right woman for you. Is that a good summary of what you said a few minutes ago?
Yeah, I would say it's like I want to have some kind of certainty. Because I think I've known that I have felt the feelings in the past. But most of my relationships have been very short.
Yeah.
So this is the longest relationship I've been in.
Yeah. And so when you say you felt the feelings before, obviously those relationships didn't last.
Yeah.
So the feelings weren't accurate.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. One relationship ended. I don't like. I think we. It's a little hard. It's a little fuzzy. It's like 5 years ago, I think.
Yeah. But, no, I mean the details. The details of timelines don't matter that much. I mean, the big picture. What I'm trying to get at here is that your feelings of excitement you've had in the beginning with this woman, you've had with other women in the past, and those feelings don't mean anything because in the past, we don't know what's going to happen with this current relationship, but in the past, you've had these feelings that you like, and it wasn't the one for you.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have to take that as a principle and say, just because I have these feelings doesn't mean they're the one. But you're trying to find these feelings to validate that this woman is the one. You see what what you're doing there, though? You're trying to say, you're saying, I would like to have these strong feelings so that I feel confident that God is saying this is the one for me, but those feelings have already been experienced, and those aren't signs that she's the one. So for that feeling to continue is unrealistic. You're not going to have that initial rush of excitement when the relationship is maturing, you know? So there's a difference. I think there's a couple things I think that might help you as we're unpacking this. And these are probably things you're going to have to think about later and really reflect on. You might not be able to answer right now. But there's a difference between losing the excitement and the love, so to speak, versus a relationship maturing into something deeper that goes beyond infatuation and puppy love that you get the initial excitement about. You know, I'm not saying you're doing this, but there are people who end up falling in love with the feeling of falling in love. You know, and I tend to see guys love to pursue women and they enjoy the chase of capturing her, but then once they get her, that excitement of can I win her, it wears off, and then they try to win a different woman.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's one possibility of what you're doing, of what you're experiencing, and that wouldn't be good because that's saying, well, this isn't really deep and this isn't meant to last if that's all you're doing. On the other hand, it's very possible that you're just experiencing the normal maturing of meeting someone that you don't know that well. It's exciting because it's a new relationship, but then real life comes in and you realize they're a real person and there's real issues and you have to deal with stuff together, and so that excitement wears off. And that's not a sign that, you can't continue to mature in love with her where it deepens and you want to commit. So I think you're going to have to weigh through, was this just infatuation and it's wearing off? Or do I need to just have a mature view of love and realize once you get into a relationship with someone for a long time, you don't feel the same way as when you just met somebody. It's different. And you can't be in love with the feeling of being in love. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with what you're saying, especially about the second thing. Because as I've gotten older and I look at relationships, I understand that love is a choice, and it's not always a feeling.
Right.
She feels the warm and fuzzies. They're not a great. I agree. They're not a great indicator of things. Yeah. All the time. But she feels the warm and fuzzies. I think she's genuinely excited.
Yeah. And it's good to have them. You want to like somebody in the beginning. It's not that they're bad. It's just that, you want it to mature. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And that's, for me, it's I look back at some of that stuff and why I've been kind of just not feeling connected or feeling anything with her. And I'm wondering if for myself, if there's something I'm doing that's blocking it because of something in my past. And I feel like that I've gone back and forth with oh, I think I have feelings. Oh, I don't think I have feelings. And sometimes the thought of not having feelings or liking her kind of lasted longer than I thought they should. Yeah. Not like a few weeks, but maybe a month.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Do you want to have feelings for her? This is someone that you enjoy and you want her, but for some reason you're just not feeling those feelings? Are you almost frustrated with yourself that you don't have these feelings? Or no?
There's part of me that's frustrated because I look at the way that, one, I look at the way that she is as a person. Again, very kind, very empathetic. On paper, I think she is a great person, great girl. But over time, I feel like I've gotten to the point where I'm just I'm not sure if she's actually the one, or I'm not sure if she is the person I should be pursuing. It's just not. It just didn't stick.
Right. Well, here's another thing to think about that might help, it might not. I'll just throw it out there. It sounds a little bit like you're wanting to know if she's the one, and that's what you want to know in order to keep dating her. But realistically, that's defeating the purpose of dating. Because if you knew she was the one, you should just marry her.
Yeah.
But if you don't, and if you know she's not the one, then you should just break up and move on and let her move on too, since it's not meant to be. The point of dating is when you don't know and you're unsure and you want to know. And so that's what I would encourage you. If there's potential and if this is a woman you would like to have feelings for and you want to explore the possibility of her being the one, then I would encourage you to take it a little more easy on yourself and on her. And rather than put so much pressure on this to say, I'm not sure you're my future wife, just embrace the season a little bit and say, can we just enjoy each other for what the relationship is at this point. Like, can I enjoy
Mm-hmm.
you for who you are? Because if you can't
Yeah.
get past that phase of the beginning of a relationship being lighthearted and just enjoying each other in normal ways, then you don't need to worry about it later on because it's kind of giving you your answer. But when you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
find the answer, the long answer before you've answered the closer questions, it's all going to get very confusing, you know? So there should be a like kind of a progression of clarity that will help you know when you need to ask the next question. So
Mm-hmm.
you start the way ideally it would go is you meet a girl and you like her and you know she's a Christian, you guys align theologically, you're prepared to marry a woman if you met the right woman, then you say, "Okay, let's see if there's something here romantically." You start talking, "Oh, there is a connection. We like each other. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's take it to the next level and date and see how that goes." Oh, this whole time you're not saying, "I know this is the woman I want to marry." You're saying,
Yeah.
"If this was the woman, if I find out that this is the woman, then I'll marry her because I'm ready." You don't want to be dating if you're not ready for marriage in general. But
Yeah.
throughout this whole phase, you don't want to be putting huge amounts of pressure on yourself to know way before you guys are even close to getting married. You just want to ask the next
Mm-hmm.
question. Am I enjoying this into a level that would need to be enjoyable for me to progress? And so I would just encourage you to ask the more immediate questions because I think it's possible that one of two things is happening here. Either
Mm-hmm.
A, you're realizing you don't have a great connection with her and you don't enjoy her on a personal level to where you should continue to date, and the loving thing to do
Mm-hmm.
would be to move on. The other thing is that's one possibility. The other possibility is you would enjoy her more and you guys would have a good dating season if you weren't overthinking everything and putting so much pressure on the relationship where it's kind of ruining the lightheartedness of where it should be at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think that's really good. It really does make me actually like now that you're saying that stuff, I'm definitely going to think on that because when it comes to my overthinking and other things, I get to the point where I don't even trust my own thoughts, and so
Yeah.
sometimes I don't know
That's
what I'm even thinking.
that's
So
impossible to live with, man. You know? Like you're not going to
yeah,
be able to function in any relationship if you can't even trust your own self to be
yeah,
making the right choice, you know?
yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
so this I would say like women that enjoy you and like you and want to be there for you don't grow on trees like
Yeah.
all over the place. And
Oh
and
yeah.
and I'm not saying you should just settle for her because she likes you a lot. What I'm saying
Yeah.
is if there's potential and she has good qualities and you're not sure if she's the one, but you're also not sure she's not the one, then I think it's
Mm-hmm.
worth the investment of dating to see what might happen. You know? Because
Mm-hmm.
because I would encourage you not to break up with her and then do the same thing you're doing right now and then try to get back together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like overthink it. Oh no, I wonder if I made a mistake. I really do miss her a lot. Let's try again. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry I did that. And then you break up again. Like just embrace the unknown right now and say,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I really don't know, but I like you enough to figure it out. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you can say that, then I would say keep dating. If you're like, I just know I don't want to marry her, then you should break up, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of my best answer to that. Is that helpful at all?
Yeah. Sometimes it's really helpful just to be like, okay, just straightforward with the thoughts because it's like for me I have a really bad tendency of also nuancing things way too much.
Yes.
So I appreciate the straightforwardness.